Kia ora, campers, it's me, Kira. Today we are going to talk about the winner of the 1985 Man Booker Award. That is Keri Hulme's The Bone People. Keri Hulme sadly passed away recently in December 2021, and I have been meaning to review The Bone People after finish reading it in October, but I've never really been able to grapple with why I have adored this novel so much. Because fundamentally, if everything that I don't like about books, The Bone People has, but for some bizarre, strange reason, it works. Here's a little bit of history about the book. Keri Hulme was a recluse. Even after the fame of winning the Man Booker, she hardly did interviews. Questions had to be faxed over to her, and she didn't really see herself as an author, which is something to ponder about, because once she had finished the manuscript of The Bone People, she sent it out to publishers, and some of them had come back saying, we can't make head or tail of what you were talking about within this novel, or that it needs a really good edit. And Hulme herself had said she would rather preserve the manuscript in a block of perspex than anyone change a single word. Incredible. The book that you read of The Bone People is the original that Hulme put forward to publication. Nothing has been changed. She never wanted it to be changed. She wasn't going to let anyone change it at all. Though Keri Hulme has the accolade of being the first New Zealand writer to win the Man Booker, people often forget to mention that she's also the first Maori person to win the Man Booker. It was a small feminist Maori press of the same clan as Hulme that got this published, and because they had very little money, took the novel on that Hulme had written and didn't make any changes to it. It was shortlisted for the 1985 Booker Prize, but Hulme, knowing that this book's very different to other books, it's not structured, it's not written like a normal book, probably had very low chances of even winning. So she didn't even turn up to the event, and there's a clip of the prize ringing Keri Hulme saying that she's won the prize, and you can almost tell in her voice that she doesn't really believe it.
And the book which has carried off the double laurel is The Bone People by Keri Hulme.
Just managed to contact her in Salt Lake City on the phone. Here she is now talking to Hermione Lind.
Hello, Keri Hulme. Hello, Keri Hulme.
Keri Hulme here, yes.
Hello, congratulations on winning the 1985 Booker Prize. We're very sorry that you can't be with us tonight. Are you pleased?
You are pulling my leg, aren't you?
No, it's true. You have won the Booker Prize.
Bloody hell.
Yeah. Apart from bloody hell, what is your first reaction? Are you pleased that as a New Zealander?
Totally unbelievable.
Regarding Keri Hulme's novels, this is the only one. Since 85, she's not brought out another novel. There was meant to be one called Bait, but even after waiting now nearly 30 years, it has been coined as Keri Hulme's Wait. Literary journalists have their moments of humour. You're probably wondering, well, what is this book about? A book that I found difficult, a book that I found challenging, and a book that really took me out of my comfort zone. Firstly, before we talk about this book, I want to say a huge thank you to Renée from So I Read This Book. I will leave her links down below. She was paramount in my understanding of Maori culture, about the Maori language that Hulme uses throughout this, and also to give me an understanding of the history, the culture, and the mythology of the Maori people. So Renée, thank you so much. And I know Renée is going to do a lot more Maori literature on her channel, so if you're interested, go check her out. Say hello from me, Renée. Thank you. Thank you so much. You're going to follow three people. Keri Hulme, who lives in a tower in the middle of a swamp, who lives a very isolated life. One day as she enters her tower, she finds a child there, Simon. Simon is mute. The reason why we're not entirely sure, but throughout this book we are given his fragments within italics, though at some point those italics don't always correspond to Simon. Sometimes those inner thoughts will change characters, but Hume is not going to tell you who. Keri and Simon, after drinking coffee and playing chess, get hold of Simon's father, Joe, a Maori man. Inside the tower, we could call it a rough domestic drama that is going on as we see these people talk about their differences in the Maori culture towards the New Zealand culture, how they are viewed by outsiders, Keri being a white woman though Maori, and Joe being Maori, with Simon being the vantage point to how everyone is being treated within this novel. Everything inside the tower makes sense. As soon as you move outside, this novel takes a turn like no other. Keri shows us her kung fu mastery at a bar. We have multiple violent and graphic depictions of child abuse done towards Simon. We have self-mutilation, we have sing-songs, we have poetry, we have a broken guitar that completely upturns all the characters, and we have, at least the last quarter of this book, a dive into Maori mysticism. Yeah, after a myriad of violent scenes, and one which takes a surprising twist of who the abuse is done to, the characters split off. And here we start to understand of how Maori culture alongside New Zealand culture clashes. And here explores in a very sublime way that the two cultures don't really go hand in hand. That people are trying to look and people are trying to do very different things in order to find salvation, in order to find compassion, in order to find harmony. Therefore the question comes up of, well, who's doing the right thing? Does it take Joe waiting for a long lost Maori mythical boat according to legend? Is it Simon who has to wait for the grace of God? Or does it take someone like Keri to take matters into her own hand, ultimately plunging a knife multiple times into her stomach? Hume, as you could tell, asks more questions than she wants to answer them. The ending, dare I say, it's not really cyclical of the beginning, more that there's an ecliptic manner to it. Something is overshadowing these characters. At the beginning, we have three people walking, and you don't really know who they are. At the end, we know who these people are, but in order to deduce who is who and what is what, and truly what is going on at this gathering, at this celebration, at this mourning, at this moment, is a difficult task. Do the characters even know themselves better than they did when they were strangers at the beginning? Or are they more distanced, alienated, and nuanced after spending quality time with each other? Though Simon, Joe, and Keri are of the same nation, do they even hold the same standards to each other? Are they even of the same nation? Do they feel that they are part of one nation, that of New Zealand? Or is it to be Maori? Or will there ever be harmony between the two? This is a brave, unique work, and though it should falter at the seams, though it should be maybe blocked up in perspex, Hume has done it. And this for me is a 9 out of 10. And if you want an eye into Maori culture, what it is to be a New Zealander, then this is the book you should choose. And I understand why it is still lauded today in New Zealand and why Hulme is still celebrated as an author, although she will probably say that she wasn't.
It's an extraordinary thing that you've sort of penetrated the heart of the British literary establishment in this way.
My goodness, yes. For an amateur book that sort of was put together over a long period of time and then was published by a dedicated group of women who had one that published other books and hadn't sort of gone for anything as ambitious as this. It's amazing.